Hey, before the video starts, are you interested in making some extra money? Why not play the stock market, where you can make on average a 7% return on the money you invest? Try the Robinhood app. Click the link in the description below to get started with a free stock just for signing up. Who doesn't love free money? Enjoy the video.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I've been trying to do a lot of these lives to help get everybody informed about what's going on. And I want to give y'all a few seconds to start logging on because I'm having a very important conversation today with Symone Sanders. Carmen talk about this is why you didn't answer my call. Yes, ma'am. I have important things to do. I will call you back. Okay, so y'all know I keep preaching about voting. But at the same time, I like to be one of those persons who have like answers, suggestions, something. I don't like to just talk without giving you information or having something informed to say. So with that being said, I've been on my platform bringing people on who are a lot more informed than I am. So she hasn't sent her request yet, but I'll give you a little bit of information. Symone Sanders, who's about to log on with me for this live, she is a champion for women. Symone D. Sanders is a seasoned political strategist who rose to prominence in 2016 as the national press secretary for U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders. Okay. And then his then presidential campaign. And now she serves as a senior advisor for former Vice President Joe Biden's 2020 presidential campaign. And she has a book. It's called No, You Shut Up. It was released this year, and she shares her take on take no prisoners approach to life, politics, and career success, showing a new generation how to be loud and powerful in their own right. So let me see if I can find her, because I just got off of a call with her. Let me see. Maybe she ain't logged on yet. She hasn't logged on yet. Okay. I don't know why. I just got off the phone with her. I mean, off of the live with her. But, and let me type her Instagram name on here so you guys could find her. I want you guys to make sure that you, let me see. I think this is it. I want you guys to make sure to, oh, dang, what did I just do? Oh, here you go. Let me see. There it is. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to pin this. How do you pin it? Help me out, somebody. Oh, there it is. Boom. Okay. So, anyway. Oh, there she is. Boom. I am waiting for her to log on. So while we're talking, guys, you guys can send post comments, questions. Hey, Symone, how you doing?
I could not figure out how to get on this live, okay? Oh.
I was just talking. I'm like, where's she at? Okay. Can you hear me? Is everything clear? What's going on?
Perfect. You got me?
Yeah, I got you now. Make sure you stay where your connection is good.
Okay, right. Not about this bad Wi-Fi. We don't want a Teddy Riley situation.
Oh, please don't give us a Teddy Riley situation.
It was not good. It was not good.
No. Okay, so I've been doing these live chats with different people that's in politics and who follow politics, and just part of the movement of just taking our whole society forward in a better direction. Mm-hmm. With that being said, a lot of the people who I invite on are clearly more informed than I am about most of the topics that I want to talk about, including yourself, right?
Well, but you
And
know
I
what? It's good that you're inviting the people on, Candy, to get the information, as opposed
right.
to some people who just like don't know and
Mhm.
aren't even trying to like help broaden out the conversation. So I'm here for
Right.
it.
Well, I appreciate you accepting my invitation. So there are a few questions that I want to ask. Now, first of all, let me say that I thoroughly enjoy watching every time you are on the news, doing an interview, or speaking. Because when I tell you, you be putting them in check. Okay?
Thank you.
Now, before I go into my real questions, I really want to know, what, how did you feel so empowered to be able to just go on and speak your mind the way you do when you're going back and forth with some of the other political analysts that are on TV with you sometimes?
You know, I think I've just grown into it over time. I remember the first time I did like television when I was back on the campaign trail in 2016. I was nervous. Like you can see my chest moving. I was like, oh no, I know what I'm talking about. It's getting crazy. But
Mm-hmm.
since I left the campaign trail in 2016 when I worked for Senator Sanders and I was a political commentator, you watch it. People say the craziest things on television. And I find like I realized very quickly that if I do not respond in the moment, whatever they have said is just going to sit out there. So
Right.
I will give a little facial expression and then I don't have a problem jumping in because I have to. So now that I'm back on the campaign trail for Vice President Biden, people are still saying crazy things, but now it's just on me. Like I am a representative of the campaign. So I still have to pop back because people still saying crazy stuff like name a lie that Donald Trump has said. I'm like, do you have all day? Because he lies a lot. So how is this a
They
real
really
question?
said that?
Yes, the lady on, it was Fox.
I mean, we constantly catch him in, what is he, fake news, as he likes to call it.
We catch him in a lie regularly, about
Yeah.
every single day.
We be having receipts.
Regularly, okay? It's a CVS
Right.
receipt of lies that Donald
Yeah.
Trump has told. So,
That's
it's
interesting. Okay.
crazy.
Well, all right. I want to get into some of these questions. All right. So we've seen a greater response to the murders of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, and I obviously I hate what happened to them, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy that the world has come together to fight for justice for them. But as well as I want to see justice for Breonna Taylor. Okay. And so
Mm-hmm.
as Black women, how can we continue to honor her memory and fight for her justice to be served as well?
Well, first of all, Candy, you're doing it right now by just bringing her up and introducing her into the conversation. I think it's important that we regularly remind people that the unrest that folks are feeling is not just George Floyd. It is the video of Ahmaud Arbery, and it's the Breonna Taylor, it's the death and killing of Breonna Taylor. I wonder. I asked myself this yesterday, frankly, like why are people regularly saying George Floyd's name and Ahmaud Arbery, and sometimes they forget to include Breonna Taylor. And I think part of it is for people because they didn't have a video. So we don't have a video of Breonna Taylor. But to those people, I say we shouldn't have to have a viral video of on loop of a Black person, a Black woman being killed for her to get justice. And so I think it's important that we remember to speak her name and tell her story every single day because her life mattered too.
Right. And I want to say this before I ask you any other questions, since we're talking about Breonna Taylor. I myself, for the past week, I've been donating to different causes, trying to help the movement. So obviously, the first thing that I was looking up, I was trying to donate to a cause that would help people bail people out of jail. And then I was trying to donate to the NAACP, which is easy to find. I
Yes.
also was donating to George Floyd's family, which was easy to find. And I donated to Ahmaud Arbery, which was easy to find. Breonna Taylor's was not as easy to find. Can you believe
Really?
that? Not for me.
Really?
And I know that they do have a GoFundMe for her now. So everybody who knows it, could you
Drop it
please
in the chat.
put
Drop
the
it in the chat.
official GoFundMe or fund for Breonna Taylor in the chat right now? Because I didn't really see as many people posting the correct one for her.
Yeah, we need the one that goes to the family, not the one that goes to
Yeah,
the
because I want
scammers.
to make sure I'm giving to
Yes.
the right people. You know what I'm saying?
I wonder if many people even realize what happened to Breonna Taylor. Like, we say her name, but Breonna, I mean, like, everybody knows the story of Sandra Bland. At least I hope they do. Sandra Bland in a car, police officer. She gets pulled over. They pull her out the car. They take her to jail. She dies later, just while she's in police custody. We don't know what happened to Sandra Bland. Breonna Taylor was at home in her house, sleeping, when the police kicked in her door, and her boyfriend was there with her, not knowing who had just entered their apartment. He had a gun. He was I do believe he was a licensed gun owner, and he shot back at the folks entering their apartment. Breonna Taylor was still in the bed, and the police returned more than 20 rounds of fire. Her boyfriend, I think, shot off one round. The police returned more than 20 rounds of fire, shooting and killing Breonna Taylor in her bed, but also shooting into other apartments. Like, these bullets went through the walls. And I explained this story to somebody the other day, and they said, why would the officers shoot 20 rounds? I said, exactly, which is why we need an investigation. Okay, like, you're asking the right questions here. Right. So it is like, what happened to Breonna Taylor? Breonna Taylor should be alive. Like, Breonna Taylor was an EMT worker, a public sector. So it's just, it really just, it's disturbing, because it's just very disturbing that is still happening in 2020. So we have to continue to speak Breonna Taylor's name, but we need to know her story. And y'all need to drop the donate link down here to the official thing in the chat.
Yes.
Oh, I see it. People are dropping it.
All right. So one more time for the people who did not hear me before you logged on. I told everybody that, oh Lord, you got the sirens in the background.
The sirens. We live down the street from the I hope everybody's safe. We live down the street from the fire department.
Yeah, no, but I was telling everybody before you came on that you were a seasoned political strategist, and that you once were the national press secretary for U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders for his presidential campaign back then in 2016. But now you are the senior advisor for former Vice President Joe Biden. So with that,
I got the shirt on today.
Hey. So with that being said,
oh yes, Kandi, what you got for me, Kandi?
When former Vice President Joe Biden said that if you don't vote for him, you ain't black?
Well, Kandi, it's a thank you for the question. Okay, so first of all, Vice President Biden, in the immediate aftermath of that, he came out and he said he shouldn't have been so cavalier. He apologized. He realized that he understood from people that comment made folks feel as though he's taking the black vote for granted. And he wanted to be very clear that he has never taken the black vote for granted, and he surely isn't in this race. I mean, black voters are how he became the Democratic nominee, and they're critical to him being president. I think that, look, I understand why people just hearing that soundbite would have questions, but I encourage folks to go. I think he said this on the Breakfast Club. Okay, I encourage folks to go and watch the 17-minute interview with Charlamagne on the Breakfast Club. It is conversational. Okay, it is high energy. It is emotional a little bit, because Charlamagne is like, no, this, and Vice President Biden is like, I'm trying to tell you, man. Right. And I say all that to say that, like, the reason we can even talk about a comment Joe Biden made on the Breakfast Club is because he went there. And why did he go there? Because that is a place where young people, specifically young people of color, that they listen to, that they watch. And he is going there to earn those votes. And so he is committed to earning those votes. Our campaign is the only Democratic nominee to ever put out a plan for Black America in the general election. Usually people do it in the primary, then they do a pivot to talk to some other voters. Black voters are central to our pivot. So I want folks to continue to hold us accountable, but I also want people to see the whole interview, and especially the comments after the fact, where he was very clear that, I just want to be clear, I'm not taking the black vote for granted. He did say that. So all we can continue to do is let action show. But I know the comment wasn't great. He knows it wasn't great. He said it. I mean, how did it make you feel, Kandi, when you heard it? What did you think?
I laughed, honestly, at first, because I just thought, wow, I mean, he's right technically, but he actually had the nerve to say it out loud. When somebody's thinking something, but they don't always say it out loud. And I was like, damn, he actually said that out loud.
And he know that he shouldn't have been so cavalier. But I do think the point that he was making, though, I mean, if we can just be honest, you want to put Joe Biden's record. He said he will put his record up against Donald Trump's as it relates to the black community any day. And Donald Trump, who called African countries shithole countries, who asked black people in the last election, What do they have to lose at this point? Our lives, okay, due to the coronavirus. Donald Trump, who has yet to do anything substantive for our community, who I'm just really, he literally stood at the White House at the podium the other day and said that George Floyd was looking down and happy about these job numbers, about equity. For him to put any other words in George Floyd's mouth except his last words of "I can't breathe," calling for his mother, is just despicable. Right. So, like, but Joe Biden has said that he shouldn't have been so cavalier, and he is committed to earning the African American vote. So we're gonna show you with our actions.
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really offended. I just thought, like, wow, okay, he actually said that out loud. Okay, that's just how I looked at it. But at the same time, I just looked at it. At the end of the day, I'm not voting for Trump. So if I don't vote for Biden, that's like voting for Trump. So that's why I was like, he's right. I mean, at the end of the day, I know who I'm voting for. Simple as that.
And we're happy you feel that way. Look, but we realize though that there's a lot of people, Kandi, that you weren't offended, but there were people that were. And I think to those folks, we say, look at Vice President Biden's record. Look at what he said in his campaign. Look at what he's saying right now. When Black bodies are on the line, when Black people are dying, he doesn't speak George Floyd's name and Ahmaud Arbery's name without mentioning Breonna Taylor, because her life mattered and she's important to this moment too. So we as a campaign, though, have to continue to demonstrate that we are actively working to earn the vote. And, you know, we working on that every day. It keeps me up late at night. Okay, that's why I got a little coffee right now. Okay. So we committed.
All right. Okay, so I want to go to your book. Your book, No, You Shut Up.
Oh, someone made me a pillow with my book title on it, okay, and my little cover.
Oh, okay. I'm going to put it up and put the link in my swipe up after we finish. But, okay, so everybody support her book. And get it and read it so you can know what's going on. But in your book, No, You Shut Up, you stress the importance of fighting oppression, injustice, and inequality in our own circles of influence. So what advice would you give someone that's struggling to discover their area of activism?
Look, I think we need to think about activism a little bit differently, because I talk about being a radical revolutionary in my book. And I think when people say radical revolutionaries, they think, I mean, everybody should take up a sign and go down to the die-in downtown. And while there were so many people out protesting over the last week and a half, and I think there's still people out there tonight. I was down at Black Lives Matter Plaza this past weekend, protesting,
love that, by the way.
And it's amazing. Shout out to Mayor Bowser. Okay, she did that for the people. But that is not the only form of radical revolutionary contribution. You know, Kandi, your radical revolutionary contribution is not only using your platform as an artist and a singer and a personality on Bravo and being representative when you were there in those platforms, but it's also bringing your fans and folks in and having conversations like these. There are people in your same position that are not going to talk about Breonna Taylor, that are not going to talk about holding, you know, power structures accountable and even wanting to have this conversation. That's your radical revolutionary contribution. Mine used to be sitting on CNN explaining to the world why people were out at the die-in, why addressing white supremacy is important, why voting matters. Now my radical revolutionary contribution is, you know, working for Joe Biden, ensuring that we are doing things like the Breakfast Club, and we are speaking directly to the pain that folks feel in America, and that we are earning people's votes. So I encourage other people, like, you have to find your contribution in whatever it is that you do every day. So if you sit on a board, maybe your radical revolutionary contribution is making sure y'all send the money somewhere else this time. If you are in an office, maybe your radical revolutionary contribution is changing the culture of conversation you have. So we have to think locally. I mean, all politics is local. Everything, you know, the things that you are doing in the community in Atlanta directly affect what is happening in Washington, D.C., frankly, because we're all connected, but we got to start locally first.
Okay, I have another question. What do you feel about what, you know, I see a lot of people putting out here right now, and before I even ask this question, y'all,
they gonna come for you, Kandi. What you gonna say? They coming for you. What you gonna say?
I am still trying to get information about this. I'm a little bit ignorant to this topic, and that's why I'm asking you, Symone. Mm-hmm. But what does it mean exactly when people say they want to defund the police?
This is a good question. So I'm gonna put on my teacher hat. I used to be a professor at USC and at Harvard. So I'm gonna put my teacher hat on. Okay, so it's a good question, because defund the police means different things to different people. There's a camp of people that when they say defund the police, they literally mean abolish the police department. They mean they do not want any more police officers, and they want to rethink policing in this country. What would we do if we could start over and create policing from the ground up today? And then there's another camp of people that when they say defund the police, I think a number of people mean well, I would say there's three camps. A couple of people mean demilitarize the police department. And so stop the transfer of weapons of war, grenades, the tanks that we see in the streets on CNN right now when we're watching the news and in cities across the country. Like, should those weapons of war be in police departments that they're available to use on United States citizens? One could argue no. And then the third camp of people, defund the police means reallocate the funding that police departments get, some of it, into social services and things in the community, and tie the funding that police departments get to the reforms that they have to make. So if we're saying that in New York there's a move to ban chokeholds, and actually in Congress right now, Hakeem Jeffries has a bill to ban chokeholds nationwide. So if that ban chokeholds nationwide. So right now, the Department of Justice gives funds to police departments. That's how, like, police departments are funded by the city, but they're also funded by the federal government. There's a move to say the federal government should tie some of their funding to what kind of reforms police departments put in place, and the city governments have to hold their police departments accountable and not give them so much money. You know, if your police department budget is $1 billion, it's more than $1 billion in LA. Eric Garcetti has said that he is taking $150 million from the police budget and putting it elsewhere into community services. That, for some people, means defund the police. Frankly, I think that instead of using a catch-all slogan that for some people means one thing and other people means something else, we should just be specific about what we want and what we're talking about. And I truly do believe that this is a moment where we can get long-lasting systemic change where it comes to police accountability in this country that we haven't had before. Do you know that it is not mandatory for police departments to report misconduct? And so we actually do not have a federal government database of police officer involved shootings, of police misconduct case. Like, we don't have a database. Anytime it happens, they don't have to report that up. There's not a national use of force standard right now, which means use of force means one thing in DC, another thing in Minneapolis, something else in Atlanta, something else in LA. Like, these are just common sense things that need to happen, but there's now a push, and it hasn't happened under the Trump administration, but there's a push to ensure that these things are happening. So Congress is moving to do a lot. Vice President Biden has spoken to this week. But, like, that's a quick primer on defund the police. So I just encourage people, y'all got to be specific about what you're talking about, okay? Be specific.
Thank you for breaking that down, but I think I'm still kind of confused, girl, because I'm like, now is multiple people have different ideas of what they think it is, when they're saying to defund the police, they have different ideas of what that is, and so that's why I think it's confusing to some people, because I'm like, although we know that the police have definitely targeted the Black community, at the same time, when somebody say get rid of the whole police altogether, I'm just kind of figuring out, like, okay, well, what happened to the real criminals? Not the people that, not people that they've just been picking on. I'm talking about the people that actually do criminal activity, and I'm not talking about just because of the color of their skin. I'm talking about whatever color they are if they're not doing right.
Well, this is why I think we have to have a very specific conversation, Kandi, because a lot of people are asking the questions you're asking. So anybody that's in the chat talking about they already know what's going on, some of y'all had the same question Kandi had. Look, I was on a call this past Friday with some criminal justice experts, really, and we had to have a conversation. Somebody said, well, what do y'all think it means? And I was like, well, let me take some notes, because if the experts are asking, then I think that's very telling.
Yeah. I figured let's read some of the comments from some of the people that's in the chat. So Tonio_Webster says, great question, Mrs. Tucker. Hell, I didn't understand what that meant myself, and a perfect way to break that down. Yeah, Symone, I think a lot of us are confused.
What I think, though, is great, Kandi, is that we are at least having this conversation. And for far too long, it has been taboo, frankly, to talk about. Like, politicians would not talk about, reallocating funding or ensure for police departments, or ensuring that police departments are using their funds for training and for de-escalation and for body cameras. Like, so I am actually encouraged that we are having a conversation about safety in America, about, you know, what kind of change we can make, because now is the time to do it. If there's any time that change can come about when it comes to criminal justice reform and police accountability work, now is it. And I mean now, like in this moment, but also we got to vote in November, because Donald Trump isn't doing anything in this regard.
Right. Okay. So let me get a little bit more of your opinion about how do we continue the fight? Meaning, for me, I know initially when the protest started, you know, we wanted to get justice for George Floyd. We want to get justice for Ahmaud Arbery. We still want to get justice for Breonna Taylor. Okay, I understand those asks, but this has become not just about police violence, but just racism in America, period, and systemic racism, excuse me. So my question is, how do we continue the fight, and what are specific asks? Because sometimes when I feel like if we're all, you know, getting people, you know, as one, everybody's as one right now. It's so many of us around the world. We're all, you know, see the problem. We're all acknowledging the problem. But what are our specific targeted asks that we are trying to get going forward? Symone, where you go? Is that my internet or hers? Oh man, Symone, where's your internet, girl? Can y'all hear me? Is this my internet or her internet? Okay, well, she left out. Okay, you guys. Well, you guys heard what I said, so I'm gonna ask you one more time before she comes back on. Oh, she just sent another request. Okay, hold on.
Oh, girl, my iPad got too hot.
Uh-oh. You good now?
I'm good now. It was hot outside.
Okay.
But I did hear your question.
Okay, good. So what do you think our specific targeted asks or desires from powers that be should be?
Well, look, I think there's layers to this, right? So when it comes to criminal justice reform, we should be asking for folks to we should be asking for national reforms specifically to police departments. We should be asking for a national use of force standard. Chokeholds should be banned. We should be making it easier for the Justice Department to bring justice to police officers when the Department of Justice has a case. Michael Brown, Philando Castile, like these are all examples of where justice wasn't heard. But outside of criminal justice reform, we should be asking for equity. So we should be asking for equity. So when it comes to the economy, it is Black people, young people especially, who are being hit the worst by this economic crisis of this pandemic. So any recovery, any jobs option has to be specific for young people, for Black folks. So like, what are you going to do around small business? What are you going to do about jobs? How are you creating jobs in our community? When it comes to healthcare, we need to demand that we root out the biases in the healthcare system. That means that we need some standards here. Like the list goes on, but I think that the best way for folks to attack it, if you will, is go issue by issue, piece by piece. So what is it that you want? So to say that we want justice, well, what does justice mean when it comes to the economy? Right. Okay, does that mean pushing Black businesses to the front of the line for the PPP program? Okay, does that mean, as Vice President Biden has a plan to make for folks that have businesses who have 50 employees or less, that they're at the front of the line? Most Black businesses have less than 50 employees. So that disproportionately benefits women-owned businesses and Black-owned businesses especially. So like, we got to get specific. So
and you
have to ask yourself.
I was about to say, I did a couple of lives on this, and I actually was in meetings with different people that work with the PPP, and it was hard at first for a lot of small businesses to even get the loan. A lot of the banks were basically, going to their big big money clients first.
Shake Shack got a loan, Kandi. Why was Shake Shack getting a PPP small business loan? What was this about?
Right. Well, pretty
When
much
did Shake Shack
everybody
small
was
business?
able to get it. Pretty much everybody was able to get it, but it was not easy to get just because, for one, a lot of people didn't even know where to go to apply. And then, like I said, a lot of the banks weren't accepting the smaller businesses, early. They were getting all their big money clients first.
Exactly.
So
So we need to make sure that small businesses, particularly Black-owned business and minority-owned businesses, are pushed to the front of the line. There are policies that the Small Business Administration, that the Trump administration could put in place right now to ensure that happens, so that the next reiteration of the money that is doled out, the people who need it the most are at the front of the line. So that is what I mean when I get specific. Obviously we have a lot of meetings at the campaign with folks, with advocates, with community people. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes I sit in meetings and people are like, we want more. And I'm like, what is more? Tell me specifically what more is. If you just tell me what more is, I can tell you if we already have a plan to kind of do more, right, or if we haven't thought about that yet, you can give us, some details, but like, be specific. And I will argue that in our campaign, we've tried to be as specific as possible. We got policies for everything: a women's agenda, a plan for Black America, a plan for a reopening plan for the economy. We're putting out a jobs plan, a comprehensive jobs package over the next couple of weeks. And in that plan, it will speak specifically to what it means for Latinos in America, Black people, young people, women, like indigenous folks, Asian Pacific Islander. Like, that's how specific.
Is all that information on his website?
Yes. Now the jobs plan is not out yet, Kandi. It's coming out soon. Okay, so.
Okay.
But everything else is on the website, joebiden.com. But the plan for Black America is at joebiden.com/Black America. It's literally all right there. And then if something is missing, if people think that there's more that needs to be there, like, we have said that this is a living document. That means we want the feedback. And I think when people say that, they're like, oh, they just want to stick a plan on the website and have people, tell them what they don't like. But this is foundational for how, Vice President Biden will govern as president. We think we're going to beat Donald Trump. We really do. We're going to do the work so we beat him, and that Joe Biden is the 46th president of the United States of America. And when he is, the question is, what will change for Black people in America? What will change for young people? What will change for women? And we have sought to answer that question with very specific policies. Someone asked me this weekend, we sent some folks some policy, and they were like, okay, but what's the implementation plan? We're not president yet. Okay, so we can't implement the plan until we are the president. But I can tell you that we got to have a plan first. And he does have a plan. And so if people don't like the plan, let us know. We can add to it, fix it, tweak it.
All right, because that's what I need to know, because I'm definitely, I hate when a whole bunch of people have something to say but nothing to say. Like, what I'm saying, like, if you're making a lot of noise but you are not actually telling me what you need me to do to fix the problem. Because what I've noticed in the last week, there's been a whole lot of companies that have said, oh, I am your ally. Here, I'm just going to give $1 million to this charity. I'm going to give $100 million to this charity. I'm going to give $100 million to that charity, which is wonderful. But for me to see a real change long term, I need to see more diversity in their staff.
Yes, and then what they're thinking about. I said, and what they're thinking about. I mean, that's kind of like the NFL.
Okay, I'll speak to music industry. Okay, so music industry, we put out this thing where it's like, oh, a lot of the companies will give them $100 million to this or that or whatever, right? But at the same time, when you look at the heads of a lot of the labels, you don't see none of us running nothing. But Black culture is pop culture. We're the ones that's running the charts. And I mean that in a way of, as far as the artists out there that's doing stuff, and as the producers, the writers behind the scenes. So why we don't have enough people that's actually running the divisions? You know what I mean? Same way with the network. Not many of us up there. I'm actually trying to have conversations with my own network about, okay, what can we do to fix this? To me, we definitely need more of us in local politics. And I keep preaching this on every live I do. I feel like we need to start grooming our children to be the next mayor, governor, senator, Georgia representative, all of that the same way that a lot of, white Americans do. You hear rich white men all the time, or you see it in the documentaries of the successful senators of the past, where their fathers and this person and this. Oh, we raising the next senator. We're da 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 da. But
Yes.
I don't hear those same conversations in our community. So to me, we need to start getting more involved in local politics. We need to demand more diversity on any companies that we're doing business with. And like you said, make sure the money get into the community.
Make sure the money is coming where it goes. You're
Right.
you're
Because
in
after
Atlanta.
all these foundations get this money, how are we going to make sure they're giving the money to where it needs to go?
I mean, I will say there are some good initiatives out there, really great ones that people gave to, like 8 Can't Wait that just launched the other day. I saw a lot of folks giving to that. But my question, I have a friend who works in like publishing, and apparently a lot of the people at the publishing companies were off today to stand in solidarity with racism. And I was just like, I don't know if not going to work today stands in solidarity with racism. I think standing in solidarity with addressing racism would be convening folks in your company to have an internal conversation about how we can be better, and then to hire people in some of these positions. And so I really think that giving the money is good and great, and frankly, because people need the money. But to your point, what is the next step? And I love in Atlanta, frankly, like Mayor Bottoms is doing an amazing job. And what I love about her is that she never forgets the community. She brings everybody into the room. There will be the music artists with the politicians, with the business folks, because everybody is a key part of this conversation and is a part of politics. And I think that's how it should be everywhere.
Well, let me just say this. I don't want to be one-sided, but I definitely stand behind Mayor Bottoms, because let me just tell you, when I was a kid, I don't know if you know this, my brother died when I was 15, okay? We was like 8 years apart. But when we were young, when he worked at Six Flags, when he was in high school, she worked at Six Flags too with him. And now, as a grown woman, Mayor Bottoms and our kids go to school together. Both of us have graduating seniors this year, and we are all on a mama group chat together. When I tell you, she be chiming in on the mama group chat just like I do. And it's not her chiming in as mayor of Atlanta, she's chiming in as a parent. And so to me, when I saw her getting all upset and basically cussing everybody out in Atlanta,
she did. She's like, I'm gonna go home. I was like, yes, man. I text her, yes.
I saw the mama in her that be on that group chat with me from the parents that are on the school, that we all at the school group chat together. So anyway, but so yeah, as a Black woman. So speaking of Black woman in politics, brings me back to you. Everybody wants to know, and I know you can't make any announcements, but what do you think about, let me ask your opinion on how do you feel about Joe Biden having a female vice president next to him when he runs for president in the final, after when he gonna make an announcement. That's what I'm saying.
He is gonna make an announcement. I don't have any news to break today, but I can tell you that before the end of the summer, and he said this the other day, end of July, beginning of August, you can expect an announcement. So it's going to be a woman, because he made that commitment. He's going to pick a woman for vice president. I know a lot of people are asking, which woman? Is it going to be a Black woman? Is she going to be Latina? And I can tell you, I don't know. Because Joe Biden doesn't even know at this point. He said to someone last week, he did an interview, and he said, I know y'all think I know who I'm going to pick, and I do not know. So there's a process. We have a VP selection committee, but I can tell you this, the person that he picks is going to be someone that is ready to be president on day one, somebody that can have a relationship that he and President Obama had, and somebody that he can give presidential authority to. Because the way Donald Trump has trampled on our economy, has trampled across like the decency of our government and the systems, there's going to be a lot that we have to fix, and it'll be far too much for one person to do. So just wait and see, okay? A lot of people in Georgia send me emails every week about who they want to see as VP, and I'm like, y'all, I get your emails, but just hold them, okay? Just hold them.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna be texting you in the future.
Yes. We will have an announcement soon. But I mean, I think that the commitment that he made to pick a woman is really important. just as a young Black woman in politics, I think a lot of times I would go into rooms when I was first getting started in my career, and even sometimes now, not the people I work with, but other rooms I go into, and folks assume that I don't know as much as my counterparts, or that maybe my position is not as valuable as my male colleagues or the men in the room. And I think that, at this point, we are talking about women in a way in politics that we haven't talked about them before. Like, there is one of the women that everybody is talking about, or maybe one that they're not talking about, is going to be the running mate for Joe Biden. And I believe Joe Biden is going to be the next president of the United States. So that woman is going to be the vice president. This is on the heels of having Hillary as the nominee in 2016. I think that just the kind of conversations folks are having in the press over the last couple of months, I think it's just really important for girls all over to see. Like, y'all can be president, you can be vice president, you can be a commentator, a strategist, whatever.
Okay. And I know we've been talking for a long time, so I want to end on this. My question to you is, as his senior advisor, was a double question. One, first part of it is, do you think he actually listens to you? Like, how much of his ear do you really have? Okay. And then also, God willing, he wins. What is your participation? Are you still involved after that? Like, how does that work?
Oh, this is a good question. So on the first question, yes, Joe Biden listens to me. I'll tell you, when I didn't think I was when I decided I wanted to go back on the campaign trail for 2020, I didn't think I was going to work for Joe Biden. He was like, I didn't think so. I didn't know him personally. I wanted to work for someone I knew. I knew a lot of other people that were running. But when I finally sat down, we ended up having a meeting, and it was only supposed to be 30 minutes, and the meeting ended up lasting 2 hours. We were talking like we knew each other for a while. He was asking me questions. I was asking him questions. And we have just built a really good rapport and a relationship. And that is the nature, we're direct with one another. So if there's something I'd like to voice to Vice President Biden, I can voice it, and he will take my feedback. He will ask me what I think. Other people will speak up, and he'll say, Symone, do you have something you want to add? Well, sir, actually, I do. So I think that's I think foreign for some people, because so many of us have worked in places and with people who don't value our voices. And we got to fight. We have to fight to get our voices heard and have our seat at the table. And I'm really fortunate to work for somebody that values my voice. In terms of what happens when we win, well, one, I won't be able to take a vacation because, Lord Jesus, okay, hopefully I could go on a vacation. I don't know if the coronavirus is going to let me go to Mexico at least. I'm unsure. I would hope that we have been social distancing enough so we can do that. But, I mean, after an election, then people go to the transition. So, obviously, I'm very committed to, helping get Joe Biden elected and making sure that he is set up to be, president. And, I mean, I don't know what happens in the administration. Maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. But I am, November is 5 months away. We're less than 5 months to Election Day. And it's going to be a fight. Donald Trump could get reelected. And let me tell you, I do not want 4 more years of the last 4 to 7 days. I can't take it, Kandi. I can't take it. So I'm going to do everything I can. I know. Did you vote already? Y'all voting in Georgia tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we voting tomorrow. I did not go early, so I will be in those long lines.
Ooh, y'all, Kandi is going to get in the line.
I'm okay with it. I'm going to have my bottle of water, and I'm going to be prepared and ready. Okay? I'm going to be in my sneakers, comfortable. I'm taking my husband out there with me, and we going to vote.
Good. I just hope people are hearing you, because this election is so important. Nothing changes. We don't get any of these fundamental changes we're asking for if we don't vote in a president and some federal leadership and some local leadership that listens and cares. So I voted by mail last week, but I will be, maybe you've encouraged me to stand in line for November. But I just hope people are out there voting and y'all are participating, because this is happening whether we participate or not.
I normally like to vote early, so don't listen. I was out of town last week, and so that's how I missed the deadline. It was just, I thought I was going to be able to go vote early. What was that, Thursday or Friday when I got back home? Mm-hmm. And I did not know where they changed the early voting place to, so I just said, oh, man.
He said, oh, man, now I got to go to my regular polling place.
Man, on Tuesday with everybody else in this long line. But I heard the early voting lines were long too, so I'm happy.
Well, that's good. Look, I think people are fired up, and I think that They are ready to vote. I live in DC, and people were in line till midnight last Tuesday voting for city council races. So I can only imagine what people are doing in places like Georgia and what people are going to do this November. So I'm excited.
Okay, well, I'm excited too. So I want to, I gotta have to wrap up this live. I want to tell you thank you so much because I really enjoyed talking to you, and I felt like I learned so much in just this one conversation. But I want to make sure everybody knows to get your book. No, you shut up.
Yes, no, you shut up. Where's my pillow at? Here we go.
Yeah, no, you shut up. Please, everybody go get her book. I will put the link in my Insta story. And please follow her on social media, Symone D. Sanders, right?
Yes, on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes. Okay. And I will reach out to you in the future. Hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Kandi. I appreciate you. Shout out to everything you're doing. And, I hope it's not too hot out there in the line tomorrow.
I know, right?
I'm going to pray for you.
I'll be okay. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. Now, everybody else, I want to say thank you so much for logging on to the live. I'm definitely going to save it so it can be on my my page so you could watch it back. And then also, I wanted to let you know I'm about to do another live on Bravo TV's Instagram page. It's for Amplify Our Voices. That's the name of the program that we're doing on Instagram Live. And it's not just me, actually. I think, I'm trying to tell y'all because it's like I had it on my mail, but I can't see it right now. But it's going to be a few of us. I think I have posted it on my Instagram page. So I know it's Portia's going to be speaking. I think Giselle is going to be speaking. And me. Okay, so and that's going to start at 7 p.m. I believe. So make sure you log on to Bravo TV's Instagram page shortly so you can see that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for logging on. Make sure you put your comments and stuff on the post when I save it on my main page so I can see, what you're thinking. Even let me know other people that you would like for me to request to see if they'll come on and talk to us. Hey, you won't know unless you ask. Matter of fact, we need to figure out more asks so that we can have some definitive asks that we are looking to get going forward in this movement. All right, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.
I fed myself the lies, a band-aid for my pain.